Take your seats. We're going to begin in just 1 minute, please. Gentlemen, we're going to call this meeting of the Senate Public Safety Committee to order. Thank you all for being here. We're going to begin, as we always do, with a quick prayer, and I'd like to ask Senator Chuck Payne to please open us up.
If everybody would please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today, Lord, and we just thank you first and foremost for all the blessings in our lives that come directly from you and from of heaven. Lord, we just ask you to lead us and guide us in our efforts here in this Capitol so that we represent you in all the things that we do, that your will be done in the end. For us in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, we're going to hear a few bills, and then we're going to have a special presentation today. We're very excited to hear from the Georgia World Congress Center Authority for all the big events we've got coming up this year and the years ahead of us. Obviously very germane to all things public safety. We do have a couple of sign-up sheets up at the front. We're going to have three bills today: Senate Bill 75, Senate Bill 116, and Senate Bill 160. We took testimony already on Senate Bill 75. We will not be hearing testimony again on that bill today. And we're going to begin first with Senate Bill 160. I'd ask Senator Kirkpatrick if you want to come on down. We're going to do ladies first here, and you want to come to the podium so all the millions of people watching at home can see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm working from LC 394601. That should be what you have. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So street racing, I don't have to tell you all what that is, including laying drags. That's something that the General Assembly's been addressing for several years. That's because this behavior is so dangerous and ends up causing fatalities, about 150 a year in the country. Senator Emanuel Jones, who's here for the conversation, brought legislation on this previously, and yet the behavior has continued in many parts of the state, especially urban areas. This bill very simply provides that if a person is convicted a second or subsequent time of reckless stunt driving, a court is authorized to order installation of an intelligent speed device on the vehicle operated by the offender, which limits the speed to no more than 70 miles an hour. ISAs, that's an intelligent speed device, they've been in use in Europe for many years, and states are beginning to use this tool to control excessive speeding, including street racing. There are multiple manufacturers of the equipment, and the cost ranges from $200 to about $1,600 to be paid by the offender. The technology is similar to an ignition interlock device, but this bill is different because it doesn't mandate the device. It gives the judge the authority to order the device. And the bill does not impound the vehicle, so the person is still able to go to work and drive wherever they need to go. So this bill provides a way to control dangerous speeding activities as a matter of public safety using proven technology. The bill is pretty straightforward. If you look at it, it's basically what I just told you, and just to draw your attention to line 27, where it says a court shall be authorized to order the installation. So that gives the judge discretion to do that. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Senator, thank you for bringing this bill forward. Appreciate the time you have spent and trying to use new technology in order to curb this problem. My understanding in some of the research that I have done since you've dropped this bill and brought it to the committee is where this has been implemented, the repeat offenders has gone significantly down on street racing, which is the goal, is to take those folks off the street or get them just to drive candidly to speed limit.
I would agree with that. Thank you very much.
All right. Questions from the committee members? I've got a question from Senator Bearden.
Thanks, Senator. How many companies do this type of technology currently in the United States?
So far, I have found 3. that do the exact same thing. I'm sure there are more that I haven't identified yet since this technology has been in use in Europe for many years. And as I said, the costs are kind of all over the board. There are various levels of sophistication of the devices. Some of them, you set the speed limit and that's it. Others are sensitive to a certain number of miles over the speed limit. And so that's where the difference in pricing comes in.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Is that speed limit depend on where they live or the interstate speed limit?
We've got it at 70 miles an hour,
Okay.
and that's on line 32. Certainly, if the committee wants to treat it differently, I'd be happy to entertain that.
I'm just trying to think though, but it could be set to a lower speed if the judge felt like it needed to be set at 50.
Yes, it just says no greater than 70.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Other questions for the bill's author? Seeing none, there's nobody signed up to speak on this bill. So what is the will of the committee? Senator Payne? Oh, he beat you to the punch. Go ahead.
I'll move to pass on LC 394601.
All right. I've got a motion from Senator Payne. I've got a second from Senator Williams. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. Passes unanimously. Congratulations, Senator. Best of luck in the Rules Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, next up, Senator Burns, would you please come on down? We have got a committee substitute. I apologize, committee members, that we did not get this to you before time, but we literally just got it from Legislative Council as they were making some last-minute edits and changes. So I'm going to ask Senator Burns just to kind of walk us through the changes in this bill so everybody can be brought up to speed to start.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the indulgence of the committee as we work through this substitute. I appreciate the chairman and his guidance as we made some adjustments. I want to preface this to say that Senate Bill 75 has now basically been connected with and linked to the bill that this committee passed out last session. It was a substitute for House Bill 348. So as I walk through the bill, I'll highlight the areas that were part of the 348 discussion, and I will highlight the area that is a part of the SB 75 discussion. So let's begin with Section 1, line 28. This was a part of Senate Bill 348. It simply defines a school zone as the area existing in the master state order or local ordinance. So we're defining a school zone not by the number of feet, but by the master state order. So that's nothing new to the committee. Section 2 is the change that came from SB 75. If you look with me at lines 43 through 54, actually that whole section, it is the area where there are warning signs required to alert the driver that they are entering a school zone. At a half mile prior to entering the zone, there are flashing yellow warning lights, and then within a quarter of a mile, there's actually an indicator that indicates the motorist's speed and the posted speed limit. So you're given two key points of being alerted that you're entering a school zone and what that speed limit is before you enter the zone. Now, there is a caveat there at the request of GMA, Georgia Municipal Association. In certain limited areas, that half mile might go outside the jurisdiction of the city boundary, and so this would move it to the city boundary. So that's what Section 2 does.
And Senator, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Sure, please do.
But I just want to say this is a great point. Somebody grabbed me in the hallway yesterday. I said, do you realize that if you put what speed they're going and a flashing yellow light, we're not going to be able to issue any more tickets? I said, why? Because people are going to slow down? They said, yes. I said, isn't that the point of a school safety zone?
Precisely.
I got a question for Senator Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you also, Mr. Chairman, for bringing this back. I have a question. Is there provision within here? So, for instance, the elementary school that's closest to me
Sure.
is on a street that is not a mile long. or even a half a mile long. It's actually a fairly short street. So in that case, where would the flashing lights need to go to let someone know that they're entering the zone?
It would have to be at the closest point that would be of that street prior to entering the zone. Again, we might be in situations where you have flashing lights and then the signal of your speed, they can be
At the
very
same
close.
place.
Very close.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's continue on. Thank you.
All right, we're in section 3. Section 3 is brought from the substitute, this committee sub to House Bill 348. It deals with the fact that if you're going over 10 miles per hour, that the automated device cannot ticket you, but a law enforcement officer who is running radar can ticket you at any excessive speed. So section,
Excuse me, say that again.
so if you look at line 63 through lines 71.
Senator Robertson, got a question?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just trying to, let's see,
Okay, so it shall not apply when an officer is running the speed detection device. So the automated,
so I understand what you're saying, automated would write it if it's 11 miles.
if it's 11 miles over,
An officer can write it if you're 6 miles.
at 1.
Well, okay, we can already do that.
We could argue that, but I would
Yeah,
agree with you. So
okay.
my point is, this legislation does not limit the officer's ability to cite or ticket
Yeah.
a speeder.
All right, let's keep going.
All right, we're in section 4. This was a part, again, of the original bill, and it really, again, refers to the fact that currently law enforcement officers can cite a speeder at the 300-foot level or the 600-foot level. In an automated device, it's a half mile and a quarter of a mile. So does not change anything there. If you'll notice on lines 95 and 96, no automated traffic enforcement device shall be authorized for any purposes other than safety. Safety. We're in section 5. This is where the Department of Public Safety has the enforcement responsibility for these speed detection devices. There's no change to the bill that was passed out of committee last year, so this is lines 98 through lines 138. I would point out that there is one caveat to make sure you understand. Lines 122 through 127. Upon the conclusion of an investigation conducted pursuant to this subsection, the governing body or county found to have violated, this is the enforcement by public safety of the municipality who might abuse the use of an automated speed detection device. So public safety, you'll see later on, will be the Department of Jurisdiction to issue the permit. They will also be the Department of Jurisdiction to ensure that municipalities or government entities enforce and utilize it properly. And there's a pretty significant penalty, if you'll notice on line 127. If a jurisdiction is found to be in violation of this statute, then there is the potential for them being subject to withholding of state funding. Line 127. Lines 128 and following through lines 138, this is the 35% rule. This is where if the fines and fees collected is in excess of 35%, they have to, of equal to or greater than 35% of the municipal or county law enforcement budget, then they would be in violation. Now, you'll notice in lines 133 and 134, civil monetary penalties collected here will be included, shall be included. Again, this is all from the Senate substitute to House Bill 348. Yep, questions?
Tell you what, could we make sure we get to the end of this real quick, because we're gonna, if we keep stopping for questions,
Yeah.
poor Senator won't get
Yeah,
through all this stuff.
We're getting
We'll
close.
come back to you, though, Senator
We're
Jackson.
getting close, okay? I'm in section 6. I'm looking at lines 152 and following through 156. This is from Senate Bill 75. This is the defining the time in which these automated speed detection devices can be operated and issue citations. It's 90 minutes prior to the official start of school, to 30 minutes after the official start, and then 30 minutes before to 90 minutes after the end of the official school day, the academic school day. So this is 2 hours at the beginning of the day, 2 hours at the end of the day. The other thing that's substantive in this section is in line 161. Originally, you had to apply and secure a permit from the Department of Transportation. This bill would require that it be moved to the Department of Public Safety. The Department of Public Safety already issues permits for the use of speed detection devices by public safety officers. Moving on to 61. Moving on to line 173. This is the penalty section, actually 170 through 173. This change would, in consultation with the chairman, we want to move to a flat fee, a simple flat fee for a violation, and we're setting the flat fee at $50. Currently it's $75. We would reduce it to $50, and there would be no escalation. So right now it's $75 with an escalation to $125 for a second offense. This would be $50 for every citation. And then at the remainder of this section primarily deals with the process of enforcement and the right of challenging a citation, the ability to say to go to court or to go to a jurisdiction of authority and say this is an incorrect citation. So there's a process of enforcement from 179 and following. On line 205, you have the ability to contest the citation, and you can do that either by appearing or by submitting a sworn notarized statement. Again, a judge would have to adjudicate that. And if you keep going on through lines 238, where there were some changes made that where a civil monetary penalty imposed will not be taxed, there's no additional fees or penalties. And then finally on line 251, there's a simple late fee of $5. Simple late fee of $5. So all of that really is language that came from House Bill 348 sub from this committee. Now, there's one area I'd like to point out very carefully. I want to jump over to line 310, 311. 311 to 318. This is the disbursement of any remitted citation monies. In the bill that was a part of the House substitute, the Senate substitute to House Bill 348 last year, it was remitted to the governing body. You would be remitted by the governing body to the peace officers' annuity and benefit fund provided under Chapter 17 of Title 47. And again, there's continuing information there that said once that governing body had met the obligations to POAB, then they could utilize those remaining dollars for law enforcement. This is lines 311 through 316. And the question has come up, and I'd asked for the consideration of the committee and the will of the committee to just strike the alternative, just put a period after, on line 312, put a period after Title 47 and strike all those words between 347 and on line 316, public safety initiatives, period. So you would basically say any funds remitted would go to POAB. As the chairman pointed out, the objective here is to slow down the speeding traffic in school zones. And no jurisdiction should benefit from that. No jurisdiction, no school, but direct those funds to where it can help our public safety officers. So again, in the current sub, if we were to adjust that, it would have to be an amendment to this LC 394619S. Then we finally get to section 7, which is school bus cameras. School bus cameras was a part of Senate Bill 348, and the only reason that portion is included in this bill is because of the process of how the citations are handled by the local jurisdiction, the mailing of the citation, the ability to contest the citation. Those are mirror images of the same process you would use in the school zone speed cameras. I would point out on line 348, in the substitute from last year, the fine for passing a school bus illegally was $250. That was changed, and it is now $1,000 if you pass a school bus that is in the process of loading or unloading, and they have their flashing lights and their warning signals on. That's already law. I just want to highlight that to you. I would say because of that, we might want to look at a couple of other things. Again, the process situation is the same as we saw in the speed zone camera process. The same issue with no taxation. The issue is it's a flat fee of $1,000. However, if you look on line 417, the late fee right now is still at $5. Now, you realize that $5 was 10% of a $50 fine. It might be appropriate to make some consideration for a higher late fee if you pass a school bus and you don't pay the $1,000 fine. So I would ask for the wisdom of the committee on how you want to handle that. And then mercifully, the same language in lines 478 through 484 deals with the remitting of any revenues. Again, I would ask for the wisdom of the committee, where currently the language states that they're remitted by the governing body to the Peace Officers Annuity and Benefit Fund, provided in Chapter 17 of Title 47. And then it continues once the obligation is met. Again, I'd ask that you maybe mirror the same adjustments that we saw in the speed zone camera bill and put a period after 47 and strike all verbiage through line 485, initiatives period. So I realize that's a far cry from where we started, okay? We started with a very simple, straightforward bill with the objective of defining when these speed cameras could be operated and when you could ticket based on a speed camera, and defining where the speed zone was and clearly indicating that you were entering a speed zone and what your speed was. And we have incorporated that into the bill from last year that this committee supported, House Bill 348. This was Jay Collins's bill that we supported, and integrated these two components to try to provide a more consistent method, really, for handling the processing of these citations. These are civil citations, and currently, someone receiving a civil citation, they have to be informed in a timely manner. They have to be given an opportunity to pay the citation. They are then given the opportunity on a second notice. But they also need the opportunity to contest the citation if there are legitimate reasons for contesting it. So that's why you see what we have here in the current substitute for Senate Bill 75. Happy to take questions, Mr. Chairman. I might need your help on that.
Thank you very much, Senator Burns. Great work on this. I know we do have a couple questions. I will say on line 348, the change that was made to a $1,000 penalty with no discretion from the judges. Senator Roberts and I have talked about this already. That is an oppressive fine to somebody who may have made a mistake, who is a young family who cannot afford it. So would certainly
I'm
like
happy
to
to entertain the
I think we should give that more discretion to the judge
adjustment
and let the
committee.
judge make those decisions like they do in most cases. But all right, I think Senator Jackson was first on the list to ask a question. Are you mic number 2? Is that right? All right, go right ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of questions, because this was a whole lot here. let's start with look at lines 122 to 127. Now, when you talked about this, this was if basically a municipality or a county misuses or abuses this
Right.
process. You said they may be subject to or
They
could
may.
be subject to, but your language here on line
Oh, it says
126
shall.
said shall
Shall
be
be.
subject to.
Right.
And so I have some concerns about that because it also doesn't. Is this one violation? So if the camera happened to be on Monday when school was out in some jurisdictions but not others, if the camera happened to be on and they had a day of violations, would that make them therefore subject to withholding in the state? Because it doesn't really define what, you know.
I understand, I hear your question, I appreciate the concerns. I think at the end of the day, the Department of Public Safety is going to investigate the jurisdiction for the appropriate use. And I think they have, they have latitude in how they choose to handle that. So I think at the end of the day, what the Department of Public Safety would like to achieve is compliance. They'd like for these cameras to be used appropriately at the appropriate time in the appropriate locations. So I recognize your concern on they shall be subject to withholding of funds. It does not say the
Maybe.
extent of those fines. It doesn't say the degree of any potential public withholding.
Well, it's an
but
interesting wording to say shall be subject,
shall be subject.
which,
They,
Means we broach this subject?
right, it's maybe not the most eloquent legalese there to be.
it doesn't say shall be, the state funding shall be withheld. It said that they shall be subject to it. So I think it's public safety's decision. It is, the door's
Leaves the
open.
doors open.
The door's open.
But they don't have to, so, okay. Senator, other questions? We need to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when we write legislation, we should probably be, especially if we're using language of shall, we should probably be a little bit more prescriptive. And I would hate for municipalities to be abused and the department having to do multiple investigations. So I feel like we should have some more parameters around that, but I'll move forward. The other thing, we just don't know, this is for our information, what is the peace officer's annuity and benefits? What is that?
I'm going to defer to the chairman.
So Police Officer Annuity Benefit Fund is a pension fund that does no state tax dollars in it. It's made up by the members. They actually pay into that every month, and then other fines and fees, et cetera, are also directed to that. And when after they retire, they vest, they can receive a benefit. Right now, it's a little less than $1,000 per month. And it's a way for us to have a retirement system in place, as most traditional retirement systems have gone away for our law enforcement. We have a similar one in the firefighters called the Firefighter Pension Fund.
So if we were to pass this as you're talking about, every fine would go to that particular pension fund?
Okay.
Is that what you're saying would happen?
All remittances.
I don't know what a remittance is.
So the fine itself, I think you're going to see administration and maintenance and upkeep of a system. So what we're looking at is the remittance of all fines net
That's exactly what it is.
of expenses that would then go to POAB. I think the issue is right now, the revenue is a part of the jurisdiction, the local jurisdiction. So they might enjoy a potential incentive to excessively ticket or cite violators. I do think that the chairman is correct. I think we'll see compliance, which is exactly what we want. And at the end of the day, the question is going to become how significant will this resource, this financial resource be? And the answer is it's unknown at this point.
Senator, any further questions?
Yeah, and then I want to go back to my original question when I was interrupting you, and I apologize for that.
That's
But around where these signs are going to be. So I'm very concerned. A city half mile is really different than a country half mile, and I say that for somebody who has lived
Who
in
live
both
in
places.
both places, that's right.
And so, warning me with flashing lights, a half mile on Memorial Drive, where it's going to take me an hour to get there, it loses some of its efficacy. Because it's so far away, and a quarter mile could be that as well. So I wonder if we might have some flexibility here in these spacings to make them a little bit more logical for specific places. And also I go back to, so if a jurisdiction has to have it a half mile away, and again, if the street where the school is on isn't a half mile, I know your answer. You gave me an answer, but the bill doesn't provide me an answer for that. As if I'm a municipality that's trying to comply with this law, and my school's on a street by itself, quarter mile.
I'm certainly open to the will of the committee. And
So
I'm certainly
I
open
just,
to an opportunity to adjust that. And I do recognize the challenge. You're 100% correct. In some cases, a half mile is longer than the actual street that the school is on.
Yeah.
And you are also correct in the fact that sometimes it may take 20 minutes to get that
half mile.
last half mile.
Senators, we're going to run out of time here
That's
if we
right.
don't
Let's
keep
go.
moving. So I
Keep
got
going.
to.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm going to give Senator Robertson a chance. So I'm sorry, Senator Payne was going to go in order here.
Yeah, and my first thing goes along with the minority whip. I remember a song back in the 70s, signs, signs, everywhere signs.
Yep.
Can you tell me in a normal school district, because I live out near a country,
Yep.
half mile and a
Yep.
country mile, and I love the fact that it's pretty green and all this other stuff. So how many signs and flashing lights am I talking about from both directions?
You have two signs as you approach it from, let's say, the north. and
Right.
two signs from the south.
Okay, I have
So
two
if you-
signs, and then do I have also something that gives my speed?
Yes. No. That's the second sign. So
Okay.
the first sign is the warning sign that you're approaching a school zone.
Right?
It gives you the flashing lights that say school, school zone. Gives you that opportunity to begin to slow down, to slow
Right.
your speed down. Then at quarter of a mile or half that distance before you enter the zone, you are then given your speed. And I use
Right.
this-
No, I understand what your signs do. I just wanted to make sure I had a clear count of the signs.
two.
And I know we're strapped for time,
two
so,
approaching from either direction.
right. Moving while I appreciate what you're trying to do, have you spoken with anybody from the Department of Transportation?
I have not.
Okay, would you be surprised to understand that one of the reasons the Department of Transportation are the ones that permit this is because this equipment that is stationary goes on the right-of-way?
Yes, indeed.
So that if some of these kids are coming out of school and going to school and all this other kind of stuff, they're not great drivers to start with. And if you think going 100 miles an hour in a car is dangerous, try stopping it in 3 seconds and see what happens to everybody inside that vehicle. It's very dangerous. That's why DOT had that. And you brought up the fact that public safety, the Department of Public Safety authorizes radar, and you're absolutely correct. And they run the due process on that too. But isn't it true that the radar they do is mobile? That it's inside of vehicles
It is.
operated by post-certified law enforcement officers? And what we're talking about is a stable piece of equipment that is basically write citations through technology.
Correct.
And I want to be clear, I know one of the reasons that we're having these conversations is I hear all these horror stories about people being written citations off time. Has anybody brought you a citation that they've been written at 3 a.m?
I have had individuals allege that. I've asked for evidence of that. I would suggest to you that the one piece of video evidence I have would suggest it was 12:01 in the afternoon.
Right.
Again, when people make these allegations, I ask for documentation.
And I do too, Senator, and I appreciate you doing that. I think you're moving on the right track, but I think what we may have possibly inadvertently created here is what I would affectionately call a Franken bill, where we took two pieces of legislation, mashed them together, and it makes it extremely convoluted, and I think there needs to be a longer conversation. With the times and all that kind of stuff, I see exactly what you're trying to do, and I'm not pushing back on that. But some of these other little nuances, I think we need to, the DOT to Department of Public Safety and some things like that, I'm a little concerned about.
All right, so I'm going to take a quick pause here, and I'm going to direct everyone inside your folder. I created two subcommittees. One of them is a First Responders Subcommittee, which will be chaired by Senator Robertson. The other one is General Welfare Subcommittee by Senator Tim Bearden. Congratulations, both of you.
Congratulations again, Senator Beard.
Did you
So
vote?
I'm going to ask Senator Burns, you've done a ton of work on this bill. We took a lot of time and testimony. I'm going to ask you to work with Senator Robertson and his First Responder Subcommittee
Okay.
to get a final version of this in final committee sub, we will be looking to vote on this bill on Monday, but I think we're getting very close. I would encourage everybody, whether you're on that subcommittee or not, to meet with Senator Burns, not to come back and ask the same questions that we can do offline. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
you.
it. Look forward to working with Senator Robertson.
All right, we're going to move right on to Senator Bearden. We have got your DNA bill, Senate Bill 116. You want to stay where you're at, or you want to go to the podium for the millions of people at home to see you?
I'll be fine right where I'm at.
All right,
I got the face for radio.
fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I'm bringing forth today Senate Bill 116, LC number 394563. A simple bill that will hopefully bring closure to crime victims and families from unsolved crimes committed by individuals in the country illegally. In this bill, just go ahead and lay it out there. If you're an illegal alien in the United States, arrested for a crime here in Georgia, misdemeanor or a felony, the trigger to this bill is the part that says, and there is an immigration detainer placed on the person in custody, a DNA sample will be taken. That change is on line 29. It's 4 words. That changes the law in this bill. As you know, in many violent crimes, there may not be a usable fingerprint on the scene, but there may be hair skin underneath the fingernails or bodily fluid left on the scene. And this will allow us to potentially solve crimes that have not been solved or crimes in the future. So that's all the bill does.
Senator, thank you for bringing this bill forward. It is true that DNA really is our modern-day form of fingerprinting. It's been able to solve so many crimes. And in fact, this Senate has led on making sure we go through and test old rape kits and things of that nature. We've been able to connect those serial offenders to those crimes and put people behind bars, which is wonderful. So, questions from committee members? Questions from Senator Rick Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also have a DNA bill that's going through judiciary, but you're going to need an actuarial study on this because the GBI or no one else right now has the capability of doing any more swabs or anything. So we're going to have a cost figured up on the bill. Have you made any provisions on that?
Talked with the GBI on that. We kind of threw an estimate of maybe 1,000 a year because we don't know how many people that would be being released. The DNA swabs are $1.25.
$1.44 plus postage.
Oh, $1.44. I was told $1.25. So it must have been the inflation hit us again.
Yeah.
Very specific.
So, so no, we did not go with any type of cost analysis on that because of the inexpensiveness of the DNA swab.
Right. Well, what they told me is they didn't have the scientists or the other technicians to even handle anymore, and they're kind of backlogged right now on testing the DNA kits. I'm all in full support, believe me, because I have a bill for anyone who's arrested for a felony. If they're fingerprinted, they're going to be swabbed. So my bill will be coming through, which you co-signed also. So it's in the judiciary.
I do have some good news if I could add in there,
Okay.
because we work on the budget for the GBI. We have been working closely with Director Hosey and his team. We have been adding additional scientists, but they also, this started a couple years ago, they are now also outsourcing to third-party labs in order to speed that up. That would allow us to bring the backlog down, especially for the old rape kits, sexual assault kits, et cetera. So I agree with you. I think we're making really good progress, and now that we're able to hire, we're paying a bit more, and we're able to retain those folks a lot more.
Good.
It's helping us get there.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, other questions? Senator Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like just to understand the process. So this may be, you're in law enforcement too, so you may be able to tell me. Or used to be. So if someone is, so all traffic incidences are misdemeanors, right? So if someone gets a ticket, it's technically a misdemeanor. So a police officer pulls someone over, they ticket them for a misdemeanor traffic violation, and they suspect that they might have a detainer. Under today's rules, my understanding is you'd get a ticket and you show up for court later. In this case, if we were to pass this, would that person have to go to jail and have the swab done? Just tell me the practicality, like how would this be actionable? Like what would that look like?
If you are detained and there is a immigration detainer placed on you, That's the trigger. It's got to be placed. We're not going to be playing guessing games on the side of the street with people on a traffic violation. But let's say that person had no driver's license and had no ID, and the officer didn't know. They took them to the station to run the prints. Maybe their date of birth didn't come back or anything like that. Found out that it is illegal, and they do have an immigration detainer. Now they're going to be detained at that point. And so that's the trigger. That's when the DNA would be taken. That immigration detainer must happen first before a DNA swab can take place.
Right, and so there's nothing about this bill that would compel an officer to have to take the person to jail first to like evaluate all those
Correct,
things.
correct,
Okay, and then can you talk to me about what's the relationship between a warrant to get DNA and just being able to get DNA from, like, typically in order to get DNA, unless it's you've been convicted
Yeah,
and
felony.
it's a felony, and you know, like, and there are we have some exceptions around, you know, HIV or rape. Like, we do have a few niche areas there, but generally speaking, you have to have a warrant from a judge to obtain DNA. So are we just?
I think you and I are about to cross hairs here, or cut different ways here. This is someone that's in the country illegally. They've been detained. There has been an immigration detainer placed on them, and that's why we're changing the law right here to make sure that we can get that DNA. Some people, there will be arguments sometimes saying if you're illegal that some of the same protections are offered as a citizen under the Constitution of the United States. So I said that's where sometimes things may cut a little bit differently, but we are in this body to create laws, and we're saying that if you're illegal and there's that detainer placed on you, then at that time we'll be able to get the DNA, so we can make sure there's been no crimes that's been committed that we don't know about.
And who would be responsible for that, the cost of that? So is that going to be the local county, or would that
That's
go
probably
to
where it's going to take
ICE?
place at, is when it's at the local
Wherever
county
they
level,
go.
and that's where Senator Williams' price difference came in from $1.25 from the information I got about a week ago to $1.44 plus postage, but so inflation, it's terrible.
All right, any further questions? All right, seeing none, we do have one person signed up, our friend Mike Mitchell from the Georgia Sheriff's Association.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, committee members. We're not opposed to this bill, but we do have a couple of concerns, one being the cost and the cost that would be incurred by the sheriff's office. It seems to be a lot of unknown as to how many inmates might fall into this category, but we certainly want to have a better understanding of what the obviously the cost of the test kit, which we know now, but as well as the storage and submitting that information to the GBI for processing. So cost is a concern. Detainer notices, one thing that I think the committee needs to understand, that especially with misdemeanor charges, in a lot of cases, those individuals bond out of jail before the jail gets the notification back from Homeland Security and the immigration detainer notice being placed on the individual. So that's sort of a nuance. I don't know under the new administration if that will speed up, but I can tell you that our feedback that we've gotten is it does take a little bit of time to get that information back from Homeland Security. So that is a possibility. So with that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I believe you have one from Senator Robertson.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How many jails are there in Georgia?
142.
142.
Yes, sir.
Do you know how many individuals are currently being held in our county jails that have detainers on them?
Not at the moment, but we will have that information very soon because as part of House Bill 1105 last year, that is information now that the jails have to track on a quarterly basis.
Right. And have y'all received a lot of contact from your members saying they've been inundated with ICE detainers?
Well, the responses that we get back from sheriffs have been quite mixed when it comes to immigration, and it ranges from not getting a response back at all to immigration detainer notices not being honored, where they will be placed on an individual and then withdrawn by Homeland Security. So it's sort of a mixed bag.
Okay, so right now we're still, everything sounds pretty convoluted.
Correct.
So Senator Bearden's bill may not affect that many individuals being held currently then, right? I just haven't heard where our jails have been overwhelmed with 48-hour detainers being placed on by ICE.
Well, it does happen. I wouldn't call it.
Oh, no, I agree it does
I wouldn't call
happen,
it
yeah.
overwhelming, but.
Right,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Mike, appreciate it. Okay, we've got questions to the author, we've heard from the public. Any further, do you have a question? I thought you had your hand up.
No,
You ready to make a motion?
no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll make a motion.
All right.
Do pass.
I got a motion to pass. Do I have a second? Second from Senator Robertson. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all opposed? It's 5 to 3. Congratulations, Senator Bearden, and this will advance to the Senate Rules Committee. Best of luck. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please stay seated because we're going to get a nice update from our friends at the Georgia World Congress Center. Everybody knows Miss Lindsay Strickland. Do you want to start this off and introduce everybody? All right, why don't you come on down to the podium, please? We have so many exciting things. That'd be great. Yes, we can pass those around here. Sonia, would you help us pass those out?
You want us to sit up front or you use?
You know, you can sit up front if you want to. That's fine. Yeah, come on, sit down. We'll make this a little easier for you.
Let's make it like judiciary.
No.
Let's make it long and drawn out. I think
Not all Stricklands are the same.
Some are
Mr.
much
Chair-
smarter and much prettier.
Thank you. Let the record reflect.
Absolutely.
he has better
No.
hair, though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, thank y'all so much for letting us come and present to you today. We do not have a bill. We just wanted to come to you as we did a couple of years ago and let you know about the Georgia World Congress Center Authority and, more importantly, what our public safety department offers our campus and the people that visit with us here on our state investment and wonderful campus here in downtown Atlanta. Today, I have with us our Senior VP of Campus Safety Operations, Paul Garucci, to my left, as well as our Chief of Police, Joe McKinney, and in the back, cheering us on is our CEO, Kevin Duvall, who was just recently named CEO. He was our COO for several years, so he's probably a familiar face to you. And I know we have a couple of our overview committee members here today, Senator Halpern and Senator Williams. Thank y'all so much for what you do for us. And we are here to present to you. We know y'all are on a tight schedule, so we'll move quickly, but please let us know what questions you have as we go through. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for having us come down. Again, I'm Joe McKinney. I'm the Chief of Police with the Georgia World Congress Center. My boss is Paul Garucci. He's the Senior Vice President and was the recent Chief of Police. I took his place about 2 years ago, moved up as he moved up in our organization. But thank you for letting us come down, just take a few minutes to talk about the organization and what's coming down the road for the Congress Center. Just real quickly, don't guess the slides are going to come up on the screen, but that's okay. Georgia World Congress Center, when it was formed, part of that creation allowed for the Department of Public Safety, particular to the Georgia World Congress Center, to be formed as well. And we have since, over the years, developed our own, in the Department of Public Safety, a state police force. We are state officers. We are post-certified, go through all the same training, all the same requirements that any other state officer have to go through on an annual basis. Oh, there we go. Our slides are coming up there. We've been in business for many, many years with the Congress Center and have kind of evolved with the times. Part of our department is not just the police, but we have several sections we'll go through in just a moment. But again, we are state officers. We are formed for the protection of the authority, anything that has to concern the authority, which is mainly its properties. The employees that work there and the literally millions of people who come through our doors every year are our primary mission for protection over there. So again, our mission is protect the property. The formers of the Congress Center had the foresight to know that we had very unique circumstances that would probably come up at the Congress Center, and we do, where having their own police department is very beneficial to us. And we think we do a very good job there. We try our hardest to keep people safe. We think it's an attraction as a plus of the authority to be able to say we have our own police department and Department of Public Safety. That's an attraction that very, very few Congress centers like us would be able to offer. We find that a lot of our customers that come to our facility, they consider that as part of the attraction to come to Atlanta and come to our Congress Center to do their business. Following up on that, just last year, for example, we have over 160 major events on our campus. We're busy all the time. We recovered very well from COVID, and I think we're doing more business like gangbusters over there, it seems to be. We've had over 3.3 million people come across our campus last year, for our shows and things that are related to the Congress Center. We generated over $1.8 billion in economic impact through our activities. Indirectly have supported over 16,000 jobs in the community. And our profit last year to the state of Georgia from our activities was over $82 million. So nice to have a police department to help protect all those assets. Just really quickly about the department to give you just a little bit more insight into what we do. Again, we are a fully state certified police department. The Division of Public Safety, the lead on that is the police division, which I am the chief over. We currently have 22 full-time authorized post-certified positions. Those are sworn positions. Included in that are 2 explosive ordnance disposal canines. We have our own canine alert team that we can use for our campus operations, and also they sometimes participate in mutual aid. They help out the city and some of our state partners, and actually some of the campus police when called upon. So that's a good added benefit that we can do to the downtown and for the area. We didn't have a security division. We also have an emergency preparedness office. And to go in a little more detail, again, the police division, our main concern is the Congress Center and anything that we're concerned with the Congress Center. So it's the Congress Center itself. One of our jewels down there is Centennial Olympic Park. We're tasked with protecting that area and all the activities that go on there. We do all the surrounding streets around the area. We cooperate with the City of Atlanta Police in helping control that and to lend an air of comfort to the guests and customers that come downtown. They like to see an added police presence, obviously, in the downtown area. So we help out with that. We do all the traffic management for Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Anytime there's a major event, that's our responsibility. We take the lead in that. We don't do that with just 22 people, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. It takes a few more than that, and I'll tell you how we go about that. And our new hotel that we have built, the Signia by Hilton, we provide police protection for that as required. But that's what our uniform division does, primarily that type of patrol and investigation. We have our own CID unit. We do our own police investigations. If it's something very complex, we call on the GBI since we're state property. City of Atlanta can help us if required, but we primarily like to go to the GBI since they're a state partner for us. We handle our own property and evidence. We go through the courts to dispose of that as necessary. Again, I mentioned our EOD K9. We have 2 full-time units that's what they do. They have their own canines. One was funded by the Congress Center, and one was actually obtained through a GEMA Homeland Security grant. We're part of the state EOD program that GEMA operates. We do mutual aid for them and work in a bigger EOD capability when called upon. But again, we're primarily on the campus is what they're used for. And then we have our own 911 center. It's a microcosm of a regular 911 center, but it operates 24/7. So we're staffed by post-certified dispatchers. We're able to dispatch our police, call other police if necessary. We can call medical through there. We can also monitor several thousand camera views throughout our facility. We have a very elaborate closed-circuit television system. Our dispatchers can see that, as can our police officers, and I'll talk about our Emergency Operations Center in just a moment. So all that comes under the purview of the police division. We then have our own security division as well. We have a full-time security manager, and we have a few Congress Center security that work for us full-time, but mainly what we do now, our model is we have our own contract security that we use for bigger events. We provide, with the client's request, of course, they contract with us for that security, but we have bigger shows, we can plus up to whatever needs that show may have, and that may, in some cases, may be dozens, if not over 100 contract security. But it's under the control of the Congress Center. We monitor that. We manage that operation. And those contract security actually, though, work for the client through our command, so they're under our command and control, and it works out pretty well for us. Obviously, we have a big building, 3.9 million square feet. It's really again, another big attraction for us, and it's nice to have our full-time security because they have the institutional knowledge of where everything is in the building, where everything, all the doors are, all the back hallways, and they communicate that down to our contract security to make an effective, safe show for us. We also patrol Centennial Olympic Park while it's open. We have security and police presence in there during the operating hours. Again, that's for visibility and just to deter any type of nefarious activity may occur in that area. And everybody likes to see police and security when they're out and about downtown, but it's, we maintain that. And of course, our security division does fire watch, make sure the shows are run safely, or if there's any type of show that has any type of materials on the inside. We deal with some of the latest things we deal with, for example, are battery cars, electric vehicles. We like to keep an eye on those things when they're inside our facility to make sure that's a safe event. So we maintain fire watch for those if necessary. And if it's the clients themselves do have the ability to bring in other authorized security companies if for some reason they don't go with us, but we have to review their security plans and make sure they're adequate. So that's part of our security division's purview. The third part of our triad is our emergency preparedness office. We have a certified, state of Georgia certified emergency manager that runs that for us. He's got a lot of, actually came over from GEMA. Actually, I came over from GEMA as well at one point. We both worked there together, but he's very familiar with how emergency operations work. We model all our emergency operation plans after the state emergency operation plan and what FEMA would do in an emergency. We run the incident command system, so we could fold right into any type of emergency that takes place. We would be part of that, and we'd be right into the federal model. It's called NIMS, National Incident Management System. We fold right into that, and we practice that all the time. And we've modeled our internal response upon how FEMA does operations. So it's very seamless. So even if it's just a very minor event, we use that type of system so we can manage it. And if for some reason we had some kind of major emergency, it would be a very seamless transition into our state and federal partners that would come in and help us manage that situation. We also do Homeland Security coordination through there. Several of us have security clearances. If any type of intelligence came down to warn us of something that may affect us, which unfortunately a lot of big events are in the news here lately, with what type of threats and activities could occur for major events, we get that type of information and we're able to action that. We're very closely tied into GSAC on the GBI level, if those of you who are familiar with how that works. And we also have FBI contacts that in the city of Atlanta that we have a very good communication flow with. Again, some of the other things we do, we have an active shooter program. We practice for that. Our facility has a shot detection system in it. If there is a gunshot detected inside the Georgia World Congress Center, we get an alert on our camera system. The camera closest to it will come on and tell us basically where it is, and we're able to facilitate a response that way. And all our police department, again, goes through active shooter training. We just had an exercise just a couple months ago, a big joint exercise with the city of Atlanta and some of our state partners exercising that. So we keep that up as well. Some of the other things we do, severe weather monitoring. If we have a big show in the building, of course, we're going to know if any type of tornado warnings, ice storms, anything like that's coming. We run that through our emergency preparedness office. And of course, ongoing training and exercise for emergencies run out of that. And that picture there is a picture of our emergency operations center. Of course, that's where we come in to do business. It's very similar, obviously smaller than the state operations center, but that's how we kind of modeled our operations. That's a view of some of the cameras we have in there. And we bring in other jurisdictions as well. During Mercedes-Benz events, we have a City of Atlanta dispatchers that help us out and so forth. GBI intelligent analysts come in, and we run operations out of there. So that's our three prongs: police, security, and emergency operations. I mentioned a little bit ago that we can't run this with 22 police officers, so we rely heavily upon our state and local partners for mutual aid during big events. That picture there was the last Super Bowl just outside our front door, and that went on for several days. Just a tiny example of some of the major shows we had. We just had a major show this week in Cheersport. Don't know if any of your kids or grandkids may be involved in that, but tens of thousands of cheerleaders came to our building Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we had a very safe event. But just to go back to what we're talking about on mutual aid, we rely heavily upon especially our state and local partners to come help us out during big events. We run that in two different ways. We have straight mutual aid, some of you may be familiar with, if we have some type of emergency, where we can call upon our partners to come help us out, and you know, they come in and they step in and they'll help us with the emergency. The other part of that is we have an off-duty police program where we hire officers from other jurisdictions. They're state post officers. They have to be sworn and in good standing with their department. And we actually hire them as part-time officers to come help us out. And that's how we run traffic and do different type of support during large events for Mercedes-Benz. And we'll bring in sometimes 110, 115, 120 officers to come help us with that. But they're part-time officers sworn by their own agency, but they're hired through us, so they'll have liability protection, any kind of protection for workman's comp and so forth, should something happen. So that's how we do those two type of things. Now, just real quickly to mention, I didn't mention it earlier, but we do support MDS events, Mercedes-Benz Stadium events, through traffic and police protection on the outside of the stadium. They run their own police protection on the inside of the stadium. We work very closely together, but they take care of the inside, we take care of everything else on the outside. And then we have a joint communication during the event between our operations center and their operations center. But some of our partners, one of our great partners is the Georgia State Patrol, of course. Department of Public Safety helps us out. Especially when we have a protest or something that pops up and it's kind of unexpected. They're happy to send folks down and help us out if necessary. GBI, I've already mentioned, is a great investigatory partner for us, and also some of their people work for us in an off-duty capacity. GEMA Homeland Security, again, helps us more on the emergency management side and also on the intelligence side when it comes down to major events. Department of Community Supervision may seem an odd partner on here, but they're one of our main key assets as far as giving us off-duty personnel to help during our major events. They've been a fantastic partner for years now, and we rely heavily upon them to give us some of their great employees to come down and help us out. Some of the other folks I mentioned, the FBI, we have a very good intelligent relations with the Atlanta office on that. U.S. Department of Homeland Security helps us out with threat and risk assessment. APD, obviously, we're in downtown Atlanta. We're in Atlanta Zone 5. They're a great partner for us. Fulton County Sheriff's Department is a manpower personnel plus up for us if need be for certain major events. Again, Fulton County EMA, Georgia State University Police, Georgia Tech. Those two universities also are very great to drop what they're doing and come help us if we really get in a tight about something. So works very well for us, and we worked hard to maintain those relationships, and we are very appreciative of that. Just some of the stuff coming down the pike, and then I'm going to turn this over in just a moment to probably what the star in the room will be the FIFA discussion. I know that's the elephant in the room, if you would. But some of the other things we do, speaking of elephants, we just got done with the Dallas Safari Club. It was a major show for us just a few weeks ago. They came up from Dallas to Atlanta based on some of our reputation for how we do business up here. We were glad to have them. IPPE, I know probably several of your partners in the legislature are into the poultry business, and we just hosted that. We host that every year, one of our biggest shows for poultry in Atlanta and the state and the Southeast and the U.S. We're very proud to host them. Cheersport, I just mentioned, we're still trying to sweep up the glitter, but it was a great weekend for us, very safe show. When nothing happens, that's a successful event for us. So we were very proud of that as well, and happy to host them every year. On the sporting side, we don't necessarily have sports such as football and stuff inside our facility, but we do support MBS, and we're a key partner to that as far as the traffic control, the outside security, any type of intelligence that would affect the outside, such as protest or threat and risk assessment that comes through us. But obviously the huge events that we host, we have the SEC Championship every year, the Peach Bowl every year. Peach Bowl's been further elevated to be a championship type level game now every year. We have the HBC games every year, the Celebration Bowl. We're fixing to get back into soccer starting Saturday. 69,000 people expected for that. The list goes on and on. Then we have our key events that are coming. Again, we just had the national championship game. We were very proud of that. The reason they came back, we were the first stadium to hold it twice. And the reason they did that was because of our reputation and how we handle business. But we've got Club World Cup coming this year, which is a preview to the big soccer event at FIFA next year. We've got that coming. We've got the Super Bowl returning to Atlanta. The Final Four, I believe, here is in 2031. So lots of big things coming down the pike for us that we'll be intimately involved in. But with that, unless there's any questions, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Vice President Garucci and let him talk a little bit more about FIFA.
Well, thank you, everybody, for hosting us today, Chairman and members. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to tell you what we do. Joe didn't mention this, but we use this from time to time, that we actually move, we're like the 6th largest city in the state, about 10, 15 times a month. We'll move like the entire population of Alpharetta in and off our campus in a 24-hour period. So we've become pretty proficient at that. So we're proud of that, but it is a group effort, certainly by our mutual aid partners and everyone who helps us. I do want to talk about what's coming on the horizon. For this year specifically, we have the Club Cup coming up. So the Club Cup is going to, first event will be June 16th, then 19th, 22nd, 29th, July 1st, and July 5th. Originally, they wanted to have it on July 4th, but we were able to convince them to change it one day. The first 3 events, they're kind of going to be a low impact. We don't have a lot of intel that would suggest that it's going to be, highly stressful for us. So we feel very confident on all these events that we have a very good handle on the intelligence and the type people that will be coming to the city for that. All of the traffic and security for those events will be handled through the GWCC primarily. So we will be handling all the traffic like we do for any other major event for MBS, which is now we'll scale up slightly on the REACT teams and our tactical teams for the outside perimeter. But for the traffic, we'll have approximately 100 to 120 officers that will work the traffic in proximity. And that's out of the pool of about 600 off-duty officers that work for the Georgia World Congress Center. So we're very confident on the Club Cup that we're going to be able to handle it completely with the GWCC Police Department in coordination with all of our partners that are already in existence. And it's kind of our plan is there, the blueprint's there. So what we can expect, we feel very confident that we won't need any mutual aid assistance unless something unexpected occurs, which in this day and age could happen, but we have those provisions already lined up if we need to. But right now, that will be handled internally. As we move forward to FIFA will be from June 15th to July 15th. With the exception of July 15th, that's a SEER 1 event. The rest of them will be SEER 3, 2 to 3. We also feel confident for that, all of the FIFA games, that we can handle them with our off-duty program. So in other words, we'll handle it with funding that's been identified already or appropriated to us to manage the entire campus, which will include the traffic plan. The City of Atlanta initially would be responsible for that, but in negotiations with them and just working good partnerships, since we are deemed, even by FIFA said we're the best in the nation for traffic, and they want to use us as a model to take to other cities. So we're working with the city, and they've asked us also with Atlanta Department of Transportation to work the traffic to initiate our plan. It will be a little bit more robust. We'll probably be bringing in maybe 100, 140 officers for that. The street closures will be more significant because we're also responsible for the Fan Fest that will happen in Centennial Olympic Park. FIFA would like for us to do a 30-day pull on that, meaning open every day for 30 days. That's going to be a heavy pull. We are kind of negotiating with them, and we're looking right now at approximately 16 to 18 days. So game day and maybe a day before or after. We still have to manage the move in and move out, but we'll probably seek to close the roads, Centennial Olympic Park Drive, Park Avenue West, Baker Street. So that's our plans for that.
And Paul, if I could clarify, the folks who you're using to augment when you're outside and hiring them are typically off-duty police officers, a chance for them to make extra dollars and
Yes,
help
sir.
their family out. So it's a
Yes.
kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy to get the best of the best to help out while they're helping their families at the
Yes,
same time.
that is an accurate
Appreciate you
statement, and we've been very fortunate to onboard, especially recently with Department of Community Supervision and the State Patrol, GBI. They're the bulk of our off-duty program. So, and then those agencies also are in the loop of the days we need them. So they work to kind of make them available for us if they don't have any other emergencies going on. So it's a tall order, but we've already started the planning. It's in the works, and we have those commitments to utilize those officers.
Wonderful. All right. This was very informative, and I want to give a shout out because I can see Marshall and Dave and Nick with the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, and we have worked together very closely with them to help do some legislative things in order to get some of these events here. Obviously,
Yes.
the partnership with the World Congress Center, the great work that you all do, and of course represented by Lindsay here, has been an extraordinary partnership, I believe, between all the entities. In fact, I believe it's a model. You know, if you think of all the good things that are happening in Georgia, these are some of our largest, most impactful events that really showcase not just Atlanta, but Georgia in general on the map. You know, and I look back to, gosh, it's almost been 30 years ago since we had the Olympics now, which I think really started this tremendous run. And I think every year as we build upon it, we're seeing more and more. And I know it goes without saying, but because of this, it's those hotels that are full. It is those restaurants that are full. It's those retailers. It's the folks that wanted the Airbnb in their place because they needed some extra income. You know, it's the Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, and it's folks, and especially with the World Cup, that are not just going to be downtown. They're going to be all over the place.
Yes.
And I think there's just goodness with all of this, and none of that happens unless people feel and are safe and secure. So we don't say it enough, but let me just say thank you for all the great work that you're doing, as well as with the partners, and know that we will be here to support you any way we can. Questions from the committee members? Senator Robertson, I thought you might have one.
Real quick. First of all, I'm impressed with the NIMS aspect
Yes,
of
sir.
it. I know sadly that rose out of the ashes of 9/11, but it's something that many of us on this committee, it's a second language that is so much easier for us to communicate in during that process. Now, having been to a few events at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, y'all do a really good job. How often do y'all tabletop traffic?
We tabletop about 4 times a year.
Yeah, but-
And then when we talk, and traffic is included, but the way we manage our traffic, I have a monthly traffic meeting. And right now, who's heading that for me on my behalf is Kimley Horn, the traffic engineers. So in that, we've got Kimley Horn in the room, I've got ATL, DOT in the room, I've got GDOT in the room, MARTA, and we actually have a monthly meeting for traffic specifically. We go back and we look at everything that happened the previous games, and we try to work through them. The biggest plus is our traffic engineers, and they work out of SIGOPS so they're at SIGOPS, we're in our EOC, so they work the lights for us. And really, some of the feedback we've gotten is the officers don't do anything at the intersections. They're not pulling traffic. Well, the new model of managing traffic is we let the traffic engineers work the lights, and the officers keep the box clear. So they don't physically get out and work traffic as far as they can see like we used to. So the eyes are much broader with the traffic engineers, so that's how we try to manage that. Do we have problems occasionally with lights not working the way they should and getting out of sync? Yes, but some of the lights don't want to play ball at the same time.
Right, and y'all test all that up coming up to the
Yes.
point, but you have no control over it once.
Yeah,
Once there's a
once it-
malfunction or something, you have no control over. So bringing in, the soccer and not my sport and Chairman Beard and I were just talking, you know, these are multiple Super Bowls that you're going to be
Yes.
dealing with. And so I just know, I think from a public safety standpoint, it's probably the perfect time to try to push more people into public transportation, keep
Yes.
as many vehicles away from down there. And just real quick, don't want to go get you guys too deep into it because I know y'all are doing it, but after the New Orleans terrorist attack, I know everybody had to step back and kind of reevaluate, looking for cracks and things, and I'm sure y'all have done that.
Yes, sir.
And I feel extremely safe, and believe me, I don't feel safe in a closet, but I feel much safer at the World Congress Center and what y'all do than I do in many places in Atlanta, and I really appreciate the job y'all do. Thank you very much.
All right, other questions or comments from committee members? I see Senator Halpern, you're number 3. All right, go ahead.
And it's really more a comment, and I think you've already heard it, so I'm just going to really echo again. And I'm one of the legislators who lives in Atlanta, and I serve on the Overview Committee. And I think that with everything that we heard, I think for folks who don't realize just how much goes on and the kind of impact that the World Congress Center campus has, this is, I think, a real eye-opener. And in the same way that we have a lot of pride in the top-notch professionalism of the Georgia State Patrol, we
Yes.
do in you as well. You are absolutely integral to the success that we have on our campus, and for people wanting to come to Atlanta. And as you said, our convention center is thriving, the new hotel is thriving, our Olympic Park and the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, all of us are able to, really take advantage of those offerings in this city because of the work that you're doing every day. So just another thank you for
Yeah,
me.
well, thank you for that.
All right, I think that's everything. Again, thank you for everything you have already done and what you will do in the future. We'll look forward to future updates. And again, please let us know if we can do anything to serve you. This meeting of the Senate Public Safety Committee is hereby adjourned.